I like this name a lot because it's no longer just praying for peace, 右平, but it's thinking about peace, 思平. How to peace does not come by praying. Peace comes from us, everyone's mind all purified, and it comes with contemplation and really putting it into action. So for today's sharing, I'd like to share a little bit on the one of the most famous theme for the past few months, and that is 藏观. I just want to share a little because I think this topic may, I don't know, in the English group, maybe this is not very much discussed because a lot of terminologies are well in Taiwanese, so it's not so commonly understood in the English sense. But just share a little. Maybe you have heard it before, maybe not, but just to refresh our minds on this very important idea that Master has been emphasizing, especially this time round when she went across Taiwan in her tour around all the different Jing halls to meet Jing disciples. And every sharing, she will always hold up this Zangguan and share with everyone what's the meaning of this and why does she have to emphasize on this one, the rice dumpling knots. Okay, let us use Zangguan this word, and we learned a new word today, Zangguan. Okay, and what does it? Of course, the easiest to understand meaning. It has a few parts to it. Of course, the handle part, the strings, the leaves, and finally the rice inside. Okay, and these four each means different things. Okay, and so let's go through a little. In the when Master first talked about this Zangguan idea, and this is what we understood that. Okay, so we're saying that the leaves are like us Tzu Chi volunteers, Tzu Chi people, and the leaves you actually have to like boil it, wash it, scratch it very hard, okay, and then boil it until it's soft. And soft, yet when you tie around the rice dumpling, it becomes very neat and tight. And the kind of perseverance, that kind of, it's stretchy, kind of feeling to it. So that leaves, Master says, is like us Tzu Chi people wrapping all the loves of the society together in a very tight knot. So it's soft yet persevering and very stretchy in that sense, that it all comes together, all the loves of the society, they wrap it up very nicely, and then with the string, when you tie it in a very tight way, in a firm way. So this is the idea of this is like it's like the rice is like the love of the society. It's like all our members, all the people that we interact with, and all those people that are willing to help, that donated, all these people with compassion, with love. Us volunteers, brothers and sisters, we call them together. We get them together with love. We always share with them love and keeping them tight and close to the source, the Dharma lineage. With the string, we tie it up tightly and then connect it all the way up to the knot. And the knot is the Dharma lineage. Well, that's the kind of the simple idea. And this is what we see, people tying the Zangguan Ama. And we see this a lot in Taiwan. And so our sister Apan draw a comic on it. Of course, just not the one, it's also drawn by her. So this is her version 1.0, Zangguan. which of course already very clearly share with us that, so what is the four part of the Zhangguan? The knot is the boat or the Dharma lineage, and the strings is the staff, basically, the religious department. Actually, frankly speaking, religious department is just one department of the whole headquarter or the whole Tzu Chi Foundation, but to master, actually, every department is religious department. Because I think the reason why I must give religious department this name to the staff is really saying that staff of the foundation, we are not just a worker here. We don't just work here. Our main purpose and sole purpose is really to connect that Dharma from the abode to all the brothers and sisters, and we are that connection or that system that smooths out this process. And so religious department, this is what we truly are doing. So actually to master all the staff are religious department, but kind of. So the staff is like a string that connects to the leaves. The leaves is the volunteers. Again, as a volunteer, the leaves, you have to be scrubbed, very scrubbed clean, just like all our afflictions and worries need to be cleansed, and then we need to be boiled in the hot water, go through difficulties in order to train ourselves to soften our minds, so that at the end we are able to wrap up all the resources, the rice and the things. Of course, so that's the version number one of the Zhanggua. And later on, when we showed this to Master say that this doesn't have the 动头, the 当头. Yeah, so yeah, it's missing something. The 藏观, it's missing. There's only the string, but there's no the head, the knot. It's missing something, and so one of our senior masters share with us that actually in the past, the most traditional way of tying that knot is not just like this, the strings tying together. It's not just like this. There's actually a much detailed way of tying it that goes something like this. That well, we go through a few drawings, and then eventually the senior masters tie one for us to see, and that is like this. So I don't know whether you see the difference. That the knot is not just strings coming together, but it's tied in a way that is like a braid, very neatly and very organized into a handle that is using the strings tied into a braid. It becomes a handle, and this handle is it's neat, firm together, that it does not go straying around. So that detail comes in, and it becomes the version 2.0 of the Zhanggua, with the more clear knot on top. Okay, but later on, Master further says that actually in the past, we don't use the cotton string to tie the rice dumplings. They actually use 令草, which in English is called yarrow, but I don't think that's more understandable. So basically some kind of grass to tie that dumpling, and so we have our version 3.0 of the Zhanggua that looks closer to what in Master's mind. So using 令草 to tie that knot that is also in the braid of that, and then cutting down the strings are the staff, and the leaves are the volunteers, get nicely wrapped the love of society, and there is the rice or the feelings. Okay, and not is the Dharma lineage, of course. And the way we were discussing about this, we realized that actually Jing Cao it's not just another kind of string. In fact, when we use Lin Cao to boil the rice dumpling, that kind of grass actually leaves a special fragrance to the rice dumpling also. And that gives us a lot of inspiration, because this whole idea of rice dumpling knot is it's not just about how we connect together. Of course, this is one of the most important ideas, but connects together in order to permeate that Dharma fragrance throughout this whole set of things, from the knot to the string to the leaves to the rice. And the whole thing is permeated with that dharmic fragrance. And so, which means staff is not just a string, and we are just the connecting dots. We need to also have that that dharmic fragrance, the dharma in our heart, in order to truly permeate that spirit into the whole system. The volunteers also, the leaves is the part where they really have that special dumpling fragrance part of it, and of course the love of the society. I want to emphasize a little on this part, because some people may understand the rice dumpling knot as a way of saying that, of reminding that we need to remember the origin, and the origin is the knot. From this knot, it comes into, say, the formations, and then the Eightfold Path, and then connected to the staff, and then the volunteers, and then the society. But when we explain it in this way, it will feel that there's a difference in the level, that this part is closer to the source, or this part is the source, and then those people closer to the source, and it makes it feel that there's the pyramid structure, that head is most important, and then this idea comes down to the staff, and then the volunteer, and then there's the society. Make it feel like it's the idea that the source, and then the rest. But that's not what it means. That's definitely not what it means. Okay. Think about it first. What's the most important part of a rice dumpling? Well, the part that we eat, and it's of course the rice. So the knot, the string, the leaves, really is what brings everything together. But the rice, of course, is most important. Well, in a sense. And then, second, another way of looking at this picture is if we realize that these four things will not be able to come together as one whole bunch. Okay, if we are missing any single part of it. Well, without the rice, of course, there's nothing to tie, and with nothing to tie, the leaves will not come in a tight way so that the string can tie it. Imagining with just an empty leaf, and you want to try to tie it with a string, it just crumbles. It just crumbles, and there's nothing to tie with. Okay, so even if we have the leaves, the string, the knot, but without the rice inside, the leaves just crumbles, and there's nothing to tie in it. Okay, it just doesn't come in a tight form. With the rice, but without a leaf, even if we have as many strings as we want, it's just impossible to tie the rice with the string and without the leaves. So again, leaf is important. But with the rice and the leaves, but without the string, then there will be no way that the leaves can come together in a tight way to tighten up this whole thing and connect to the knot. So we also need a string. And say we have these three things, we have the rice, the leaves, the strings, but if we don't connect them together, then it will be very difficult to pull up this whole bundle together as one entity. So that knot, again, cannot be missed. It has to be there. And so it means that these four things are not, we cannot say that who is more important. In fact, all of them is part of this whole ecosystem, is part of this whole universe in a sense. So again, let's come back to the idea that Bodhisattva or the whole Master's universe or the 宇宙大觉者, the whole feeling is that everyone is connected in this one entity. And we are all connected in all the affinities. And there's no way that we should separate each other. And there's no way we should say that who is more important. But everyone is part of this affinity that comes together in order to make this work. And this love, in order for this love to be able to be transported to those in need, to the needy people. Without any of this, the poor, the suffering will always be left out. So only with these four things combined together in a very tight and organized and neat way, can this whole system continue and sustain for a long, long time. Okay, so again, this four parts is all very important, and every part is equal and same, but each part has to permeate with the Dharmic fragrance all together. And also, I would like to emphasize also that the rice, Master say, is 社会点滴资源, or I translate as the love of society. And this love of society, I feel, does not think of it as like resources or the monies or the items, the materials, because these materials or monies or these things are, of course, not, it's just the things. But more importantly is the love of a society, that these love from our donating members or from this whole society as a whole. This how to say, that就是那份社会的，就是那个爱心，不是那个有形的东西，是那个今天他愿意发挥，他愿意发挥那个爱心，那个愿意，那个念，那一念 is that, well, you can imagine a society that forgets, that no longer have that willingness to help each other, and we can feel that it's a possible scenario to happen. And so, like right now, many of our society, our country, still have people, a majority of people, they are willing to help, they are willing to donate, they are willing to think about others, they are willing to put others before themselves, or to at least give off a part of their own for others. And I feel that doesn't come naturally, or that we should take for granted, that there should be love in this society. Imagine places like in Syria, places in civil war, places in, say, Haiti or many of these countries that nowadays we are seeing a lot of conflicts. And these places are where loves are already missing. And that love of the society need to be protected, for example, last few days, our staff went to COP25 in Italy, if I'm not wrong. The conference, 那个就是气候变迁会议，ending 他们过去。And when they went there, of course, there's a lot of youth also in the whole conference. And then, so there was this special session that's on youth. The youth coming together to share, to share with each other how as youths we can do for the environment. Of course, so the different communities or different societies, different groups came up to share what they are doing and what's their main goal of their group. And our sister Brenda, she was sharing that over there, she hear many of the group are sharing about that as youths, we need to stand up, we need to speak for the society, protest for the environment. Go onto the streets so that the adults will know. Go onto the streets so that the government will know that this is the voice of the people. That something like that. Okay, that so it's all about like campaigns or protests or making our voices heard. That environment is something like that is important. So that the policies need to be changed. So it's roughly along this line. Most of the groups. Sister Brenda, one of our sisters, stood up and shared her thoughts. She says that as youths, we have strength, we can be active, we can bring about some change from us in action. Say, for example, vegetarianism. If we can change to a vegetarian diet, that's a very strong support for our environment. Or if we can begin from ourselves, right, by changing our buying habits, buying only what we need and not what we want, and live more thrifty lives using so on and so forth. That is a more concrete way to change society. In fact, we were saying that in Tzu Chi, we have a campaign that says 8分饱2分助人好. If we can consume just 80%, the rest of the 20% we can use to save others. So in that way, saving resources is not just protect the environment, but at the same time, we are leaving something for the rest that are actually in greater need. So that combines environment and charity together. So that's what Sister Brenda was saying. But after that, the conclusion of the whole youth group was that the other people replied. And they say that protecting the environment or changing our behavior, it's not a responsibility of the youth. It's the responsibility of the government. And we have the right to consume. We have the right to buy. We have the right to live the life that we want. So that's our freedom. And so you cannot ask us to change our consume habits. But this ability to be protected. But then again, we have the right to consume. Something like that. When we hear that, it was really mind-blowing that on one hand, we have youths coming together trying to speak for the environment, but on the other hand, they are not willing to change themselves. They just wanting to change others. They just want to go on protest campaigns to try to sort of influence the policies. but without changing themselves. And that is something very worrying to us, that because we all know that this world can only be safe if every single person's mind has to change, has to protect the earth. If we continue with our own behavior, our consuming behavior, the way we eat, the way we buy, the way we use our earth, the earth is going to destroy very quickly. But and so I want to connect this back to the love for society. That really this love is not, we cannot take it for granted, because the world is changing, the society is changing, and this love of the society is slipping away, and you see that in the youth, and that's again very, very worrying, because the youth are the future. And yet if you don't protect that love in the youth's heart, then again there's something very worrying. We're going to see disaster in the next few years to come. And so again, that love of the society is what that we need to protect, and we need to protect that love in people's heart with the leaves as volunteers, the string as a whole system, and the Dharma lineage, the knot. And all of this coming together to guard, to protect. It's like the Dharma protectors, purify, to protect this love for the society, so that this love will continue to stay in the society, to stay in the heart of people, in the whole community as a whole, and not just within small groups, like just within us Tzu Chi people, but this love of the society as a whole needs to be protected, needs to be guarded. And so in that way, this whole system of this Zhanghua is not just about how the Tzu Chi Foundation or the Tzu Chi people we should work. It's about how we can bring this whole community together, this love, and sustaining that love for generation after generation, to guard that love. So when Master Xingjiao to Taipei, this is one of the sessions. I was bringing the Africans, brothers and sisters, back to Taiwan, and that day they were about to say goodbye to Master. They're going back to Africa, and so we went to Taipei together. And this particular session, we so happened managed to participate together, and it's the one in Xindian, when all the community members of the community, brothers and sisters, Ganbu, they all came together in this one session, and group by group, they share with Master in this year what they have done and what's their vow for the next year, that they are taking up this responsibility, that they are going to uphold it. And then at the end of the session, when Master hold up her small Zhanghua in her hand, now in one command, the whole Jingsi Hall, every person, they pull up this huge, super huge Zhanghua. They connect every single person in the hall. The string just goes all the way up to the top of the Jingsi Hall, and everyone's hand is on this string, and then it all comes together in a very nice knot, all the way to the tip, where there's the very, of course, the nice knot on top, and that knot we hand it to Master. And so happened was Zhao Yuanzang, the superintendent of Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital, happened to be there. And so Master says that, how about Zhao Yuanzang come and hold the head of this Zhanghua? And this was not planned, it was not rehearsed, and Zhao Yuanzang was like, okay. No, he didn't do that actually. He just went forward, hold the head together with all the vice superintendents and the nurses, and then all the committee members, brothers and sisters behind. And Master says, how about Zhao Yuanzang? represent everyone, make a vow for everyone. And it just comes so naturally from our dearest Zhao Yuanzhang. It's not rehearsed, but it just comes from his mind that we really hope, we sincerely pray that Master will continue to be with us, and as all brothers and sisters will be connected like these strings all the way to our Dharma lineage to the source, that we are all connected together in one heart to Master, so that when Master pull up this Zhangguan, we will all follow together as one whole bundle. And we hope Master can continue to lead us, to guide us, to teach us, to take us along in this whole bundle together. When we were there, it was wow, it was amazing. The heart, everyone connected, the whole Taipei community members, everyone connected, and that session, Master has been sharing on that session also quite a lot, and how it was a really us connecting together, making that big vow to carry on that mission together. And that reminds me of this part of the Lotus Sutra on chapter 13, exaltation to maintain, Cheng Yen. And Cheng Yen, we know that is the chapter 13 is the chapter where when a lot of the monastics or the bhikshu bhikshunis, they make the vow to Buddha that we are willing to carry on to preach Lotus Sutra, but on the other land, not here, because here the sentient beings are just too stubborn, afflicted. It's just too troublesome, it's too difficult. So not here, but the other land, yes, not here. And so one, we too will speak this sutra extensively, but in the other land. Why? Because the people of the Saha world are most part evil and arrogant and scanty merit and not the virtue hateful. So other land, yes, not here. And so at that time, the Buddha turned his head and looked upon this 80 billion Mayutas, Bodhisattva Mahasabhas. And these Bodhisattvas were like already waiting for the Buddha to look at them, and they were like, quickly, yeah, it's their turn now. So the Bodhisattvas stood up, went before the Buddha, and closed their palm and think. And in their mind, they were thinking that the Buddha asked us, command us to preach and maintain and carry on this Lotus Sutra. They would definitely say yes, and then follow the Buddha's instruction to preach the Dharma. But then Buddha didn't say anything. And so they were like, but the Buddha is silent now, and he didn't say anything. What should we do now? Okay, and then a split second later, they realized that, and then all the Bodhisattvas, they reverently comply with the Buddha's will. The Buddha's will means actually is that you need to make the vow yourself. It shouldn't be commanded by the Buddha to tell you that you need to preach the Lotus Sutra. It's we ourselves, we need to make that vow from our own heart. And so the Bodhisattvas complying with the Buddha's will and wishing to fulfill their own past vows. It's their own vow now. They went directly before the Buddha and uttered with the lion's roar and make this vow. 101. After the task come one's extinction, we shall circulate throughout the 10 directions to lead living beings, to copy out this sutra, to preach, to teach, to explain the whole sutra. All because of the awesome power of the Buddha. We only pray that the World Owner One, although dwelling in faraway land, will lend us his protection from afar. Allow me to repeat this in Mandarin. For those that can understand Mandarin, allow me to repeat that in Mandarin. 世尊，我等于如来灭后，周旋往返十方世界， 能令众生书写此经，受持读诵，解说其意，如法修行，正意念，皆是佛之威力。唯愿世尊在于他方，遥见守护。I don't know, when I read back this part of the sutra, I only pray that the world of one will, although far away, in a faraway land, will lend us his protection from afar. Just like most of us now online. We all have our own land, this land, whether you're in Malaysia, US, or Australia, we all have our own land to protect, to guard, to preach. And our master is this faraway land in Taiwan, but we just hope the master will lend us his protection from afar. 我愿世尊在于他方，遥见守护。And I felt that strong vow again, that it is our own vow, it is us, our own mission to preach, to carry on the Bodhisattva path in our own land, in our own places, and seeing all our brothers and sisters around the world doing just that, and always hoping that Master will not worry for us, because there will be Jinsi disciples there to continue to carry on the teaching, even if Master is no longer around. And I think that it's a huge vow, and that's a huge direction, huge mission that we will all continue together. And in fact, Master this time around going around Taiwan, she has been coming out to meet the crowd with her IV drop around, still on her, and we see that many times. And so we really need to treasure these moments we have, and make the huge vow, the great vow, so that Master will not worry for us. So thank you. Sorry, I have took up so much time. Thank you for today. That's my sharing for today. Thank you.
Good morning, all brothers and sisters. Firstly, thank you to Sister Jing for inviting me here today. Just to confess, all the while I have declined a few times. So what's the change today? So I was thinking probably got to do with my Dharma name given by a master recently, which is Ming Ying. Ying, I think, got to do with respond, and it's also mean to translate principle into action. So when I relate this to about the first vow that we have, crossing over all living beings, that's why when she approached me again this week, I accepted. Okay, so what did I learn in my Sochen Day recently in October 23rd? The first thing that I was amazed, because all the while we heard of the word power of one, spreading the seed wide and far. And when I was in Taiwan that day, I could really felt the power, about the power of one, because there were 13 countries that came that day, and about 800 Dharma seed that came back for commissioning from the Southeast Asia countries. And also during the morning of the ceremony, I was really touched by one sister. She really could demonstrate the principle of Tzu Chi Hualien family. Although she wasn't from the same community, she really take care of us, demonstrate all the correct etiquettes, and was so thoughtful and caring when she pinned the flower on us, just like a mother, giving us encouraging words, meaningful words for us to get ready and make sure we all look pretty and nice. My first affinity with Tzu Chi was back in July 2017 when I joined a English Tzu Chi camp. My first impression on that day was the gracefulness of all the sisters, the warmth, the smile that they give to all of us. And I was really impressed with the flawless coordination of the whole program. My first thought was, wow, it's even better my organization program management. The following month, my Tuifu small table then, which is Sister Eunice, which is my mentor today, she managed to guide me throughout the 3 months into various English fellowship for me to join as a volunteer on October 2017. And shortly after that, she kind of asked me, do you want to join our Gen Z training in 2018? She was curious and said, oh, what do I need to do to join the training? So one of the qualifications was I need to get a 10 donor. Then I said to myself, wow, I just want to do good. I still need to get donors? So I kind of didn't think of it because we don't have wisdom then. So I used to talk to my mother a lot in the morning. We used to converse over the phone. And I shared this story with my mom. So she gave me a surprise by answering, oh, no worry, I can be your first donor. I got a big taken back. I said, Mom, you're not working. How are you going to be my donor? So she said, don't worry, your brother and sister give me money. I can give you about very little, okay? So I was inspired by my mom. And because of this, I give myself the courage, okay, let's try. And the deadline was very near, very short for me to go and get the 10 donors. So what I did was, I used the WhatsApp, the technology, do a pitch on the Dharma story of my mom. And I just sent to about 30 to 40 people from my telephone directory. And then I just leave it for things to happen. And I was lucky and have the affinity. There was foreign people that answered to my request to be the donating member. And that's why I'm sitting here today as a commissioner. So what did I learn during my Gen Z, which is in 2018? I must say it was due to the sharings by a lot of brother and sister during the Gen Z training. And one of them was a story from a sister from Taiwan due to the journey that she has to face with her son. And during the training, somehow this just came to me about acceptance of law of karma. And from the episode that she shared, it kind of get to me that when we are able to accept this, we will be able to eliminate our sense of anger, our resentment, and we will find peace and harmony between the brain and the heart. Because if we are able to accept this, we will not then blame anybody. We know what we are today is because what we have done in the past. And slowly, we will kind of let go of this anger and resentment and blaming others. And also during this period, I kind of used to laugh at myself. I always wait for Tzu Chi to do good deeds. And one day, I come across the sharing by Brother Christopher Young. And again, the aha moment came that, you know, we don't have to wait for Tzu Chi to do good deeds, you know. So I did something in the office. We used to be selfish, always think about ourselves. And this time, with the skill that I have, I said, okay, why not I share the knowledge on the project management with some of my colleagues in the office. I started with a very small group, about 5 to 10, and slowly people start asking for the call. So it really, don't tell me that we don't have to be perfect, just do it. And of course, one of the things during this journey was learning how to cook. A bit shy to say this, but because we need to learn how to do some vegetarian food, that's why I learned how to cook. Okay. Next, in my PX journey, this was one of the most wonderful moments. During my 40s and 50s, I always used to ask myself, what is the meaning of life? I used to wake up early in the morning, and you know, sometimes most of the time I feel restless. I couldn't understand myself, but I'm very detached about things. And during the PX journey, there were 2 books that we call it homework that we are supposed to read. One is Life Economic, and one of them is Being at Peace. So when I come across page 252, the title itself resonates with what I've always been asking, what is the meaning of life? I was so excited, I took a picture of this page and sent to my mentor. I said, the answer can be found in this chapter. I mean, in essence, what I could understand is that we cannot, when we die, we cannot bring anything with us, all our material goods or how rich we are. But the only things that we can bring with us is the life wisdom. I mean, in our layman term, we always say the soul, whatever the experiences that we have acquired. So this kind of led me to be able to find a little bit of peace within myself. Also in June this year, I follow the English Dharma brother and sister back to Hualien to attend the 4-in-1 camp. And during the sharing, I was very inspired by the Klang sister when they attended the Sing Fa Siang. So I was really, really inspired. And when I came back, it took me 2 weeks to settle down before I make the first attempt to attend the Sing Fa Siang in my community, Seti Alam community. And seriously speaking, I could feel the difference. You know, it's something like suddenly, sorry to say this, but suddenly I become a little bit more clever like that. Actually, it's not, I think, got to do with the wisdom. But what I learned during the Dharma, I try to share with my mom, because my mom have a lot of issues. I mean, we call it in our layman afflictions. So then I remember Dharma Master teaching about small capability, medium capability, and the sharp capability. Some of us, we need to start with just causes and conditions sharing. So with my mom, I started with the 4 Noble Truth about, you know, life is actually really suffering, causes of suffering. We actually can end our suffering and how to go about it. But with my mom, I only started with 2, which to say that actually life is suffering, mom. You know, we grow old, we age, we have sickness. Like today, when you're 80 years old, you feel all the pain, right? All the sickness. And because of her resentment of the few children, we have 9 brothers and sisters. So the only 2 things that I could always share with her is, Mom, having shared with you the law of karma, the causes and condition, I said, learn to forgive, learn to let go. Of course, it's not easy, you know. Sometimes she's okay, sometimes she's not. But at least I started the journey with her to say, I started the first step of the basic Buddha teaching about the law of karma and the 4 Noble Truths. Also, this Sing Fa Siang, what it did for me was the ego that I have. You know, we don't understand. Sometimes we allow egos. So one of the things I could take back to my office to share this Dharma learning was able to say sorry to my staff, to be more caring, to be more giving, understanding my boss better, acceptance of things. And actually, it really brings peace to yourself. True, we are all ordinary beings. We always have affliction, you know. It's not easy to let go this attachment. Just like I have attachment to my old company of 34 years, and I always swing between staying, going to a new company. So this is actually affliction, you know, letting go of this. So fundamental, yet we could not do it. Finally, after all listening to all this Dharma session, you know, it took me about, I was with this problem for 2 years, but after listening to this Dharma, it took me 2 months to let go of this attachment to an old company that does not have meaning. You know, when we die, we cannot bring with us. So easy, but so hard to do. Actually, very shy. And when I first heard of the first vow, delivering all sentient beings, I was like, huh? How to do this, huh? Delivering all sentient beings? But one day when I was listening to Dharma Master in the Sing Fa Siang, it was a very simply being illustrated to say, whoever that you come across, and you know when they are ready, just cross them over with the sharing of the Dharma that you have learned. And also during the morning Sing Fa Siang, we always hear about affliction, that all of us have the pure Buddha nature. It's just that we have been covered with many layers of affliction. And one day, we used to be very busy Saturday and Sunday doing Tzu Chi activity, but that particular morning, somehow I was at home. So many a days I have not done my washing. My home brother has been doing for me. Try to say that, but on that particular day when I go back and do washing, and then I found that the washing machine, the compartment where we store our cleaning powder, the residue was so hard. Somehow I link it to the Dharma that I listen in the morning, where our heart, after many years, has been covered with the layer of affliction, that we lost our pure nature. And you know, when I was trying to clean the powder, it was so hard. I have to like soak it for so many days with hot water. So imagine the affliction that we have. I am not sure how many hundreds of years before we can find our true self again. So that day I connected the learning that I have from the Dharma session. And also when I first joined Tzu Chi, I always thought that I was doing the thing for Tzu Chi. But then I realized as I work along these 2 years, actually we need Tzu Chi, because Tzu Chi is the platform for us to do cultivation. If you go along until your commissioning, you will know that Tzu Chi is a platform where we can walk the bodhisattva path, where we go among the masses, where it gives us the opportunity to serve and the sentient being, and in return, we actually purify our own heart. And the aspiration I have for my own self is that I truly want to be able to learn the Dharma, to listen, to able to keep in my heart, like Master say, keep it close to your heart, and then able to translate into action, just like the Dharma name that was given to me, Ning Ying. So everybody was saying, you know, when you do commissioning, you need to do vows. So I will go with the first 4 vows of the Bodhisattva, that we call it the general vows. The first one is to deliver countless sentient being. The second is the vow to eliminate all affliction. The third is I vow to learn the infinite Dharma doors. And the fourth one, I vow to attain the unsurpassed Buddhahood. So then how do I connect this vow with coming back and shoulder responsibility, what they call Cheng Tan? So the first calling was to be the assistant Tui Fu to the 2020 Chansi training. And how do I relate that? I think it's related to my first vow, to cross over countless sentient being. By being a Tui Fu, you already enable people to come to join the Tzu Chi platform. And if the affinity I would like to join the English payee team, and also to take up the MC role when the opportunity comes, and to be the focal English point for English volunteer from my Sati Alam community. And what's the encouragement that I have for myself and for all the audience is, if you are sitting here today, means you already have affinity with Tzu Chi. So cherish this opportunity to learn, to cultivate, and go back to your root of pure heart. Do not waste any more time, as life is impermanent. Seize the moment to learn and find the truth about yourself. Only you can walk the path, and nobody can do it for you. To discover this wondrous Dharma journey, Tzu Chi is already a platform laid out by a master. Without it knowing, it's actually a bodhisattva path. And if you have the capability, seize the opportunity to join the 4-in-1 camp that we held in Taiwan on a yearly basis. Gan En, brother and sisters.
Okay, thank you for Sister Yvonne sharing. Actually, for her sharing, actually, I just want to maybe to get some link for the question that you all posed for a couple of times. Actually, for sisters, when she started to join Tzu Chi 2017 until now, she became a commissioner. And from her sharing, I can always heard she say that she was very touched and she was moved by attending the Dharma sharing, and or no matter whether it's for the Xunfa Xiang study sharing or for the training sharing. But the more important thing is like she learned from the right Dharma from Master. So back to the question which is asking, here is saying, is there a difference between expounding the Lotus Sutra and teaching the Lotus Sutra? And this is the answer the question is asking. But actually, I can say for what the sister gave us a sharing just now, actually it's very clear. If there's expounding or teachings, actually they all are virtually the same. As well as the purpose is to propagate the Buddhist teaching and to influence people from bad to good. And I think this is an important thing, as well as, you know, we are using verbally by expounding the good teaching from the sutra. So I think it's just a very simple, I think it's as well as it's used for you, it's beneficial for you. So I think this is no matter it's expounding or teaching, it doesn't matter. And also for sisters sharing that before she joined Tzu Chi, and she asked herself what is the meaning of life. And I think even for me to be linked to this question one, and asking when a mother pregnant conceived, and is it our soul when we pass away, and our soul will leave our body and enter into a new family, or as a reborn baby, or something? This is a question they're asking. But actually, I think for sisters, the life of the meaning of life, I think we can refer to the 12 links of dependent origination. So actually, we all are born with what they call is like confused, or is it mother? MUDDLE, like huli hutu. We were born, but and we pass away when we die, the matter of life and death actually is out of our control. But Master say, we don't know why we will come, and our mother, we don't know why she will give us the, give birth and for us. 妈妈不知道怎么会糊里糊涂生了我们，而我们也不知道怎么糊里糊涂出生了。那 but actually we don't know what the past, but since now we start to learn the Dharma, and Master say we at this moment we as Sister Yvonne say, when come to the end of our life, we would not bring any material things with us except the karma that we create. So this is the thing is like we need to have a clear aspirations when we want to pass away, so we know that when in the future we will become a human realm again. So this is the very important. So I think for Masters talking about is like when our spirit is our consciousness, and once our consciousness left our body, and we will no longer feel anything, even pain or happiness or something. So maybe for one to further understanding about this question, I think maybe you can suggest we all can read the sutra on the profound kindness of parents and the difficulties in paying say by the Buddha. 就是我们可以看那个父母恩重难报尽。I think here is very clear that to telling us for the beginning, as a first man of the mother who are conceived, and you can from reading the sutra you can know that the Buddha told Ananda, now you have to listen carefully, and the Buddha will explain to us in detail when the mother has had her baby in her womb for the 10 enough months, and what is the process. And for the first month and the baby of the pregnancy and the life of the baby, just like a dewdrop on the grass, and it might not have last from dawn to dusk, and at the morning they might be evaporated by the midday. So for the first month, just like a small dewdrop, so you don't know whether you have a good affinity with your parents or not. So the parents must be careful to carry on. And for the second until till the 7 months, when everything, the body, everything is going to to develop. So and you start to have a consciousness after you have your head and your elbows, or everything is starting to form, and you start to have your sixth sense. So for the 12 links of the dependent origination, it comes to the first, it come with ignorance and everything. So I think the life of meaning for this, I think maybe can shift for everyone to restudy the 12因缘 and the 父母恩重难报尽. So they will be give us a more clear answer, I think. So anyway, thanks for Sister Yvonne sharing, and time is up. So I think I pass the time to Sister Jing.